which is actually what we're going to do. Hopefully you're sitting there and you're thinking, well, okay, second half goal. If you saw last week's video, you'll know that we did the first half goal on this match and it did really well for us. Okay, we got in at 30 minutes, Elfsborg Varnamo, and we made a profit on it. The reason I'm doing this video is I wanted to follow up and do another kind of trade on the same match. A couple of reasons really. One is this is actually a really obvious trade to make, whether it wins or loses. The stats are there and I think it's a value situation. But secondly, it's good to do it on the same game. So you're seeing the process of a whole match, what I would do, what I would trade. And we show these things win or lose, as you know. So, we've already made profit on this game. We're definitely not going to be using more money than we've made for this trade. You don't want to be seeing a situation when you're trading a football match and you end up losing money when you'd already won one of your trades on the match. I just think that's such a bad place to be. I think psychologically, especially, it's a really bad place to be. But let's say you didn't watch that video last week, you didn't see the profit we made in the first half goal, and that's a real shame. If you didn't, go back and watch it. But yeah, we're going to get into this trade today. I'm going to show you why there's an obvious trade in this match right now and what we're going to do with it. So I'm actually going to start with full-time scores here. And we're going to have a little look at the 1-0, which is the current scoreline, right? And I'll get the game up here just to show you it's all current, it's all live. So it's 1-0. There's been quite a lot of shots, as you can see down here. Scroll up a bit there for you. 13 shots overall, 5 on target. Elfsborg, obviously the dominant team. As I showed you here, 1-0 doesn't happen that often, 15% of the time. So we can say that 85% of the time, this match isn't going to be 1-0. Okay, fine. Now, having a look at this, let's have a look at the overs-unders. And what I want to look at here is half two. One thing I think people don't look at is how often there is actually second half goal. So in this scenario here, only 15% of the matches, and this is the last 10 home games for the home team, away games for the away team, have had no second half goal. Only 15%, okay? Obviously, that's very low. We can do that in totals if you want. 17 have hit, 3 haven't, okay? That's very strong. That actually suggests that there's a very good chance of a second half goal. If we then look at goal time specifically, we can actually see, and I'll go to percentages for this because I think it's always really good to look at. There's a 26% chance of a goal between 51 and 70 minutes. That's huge, right? 26% of the 26% of the goals, which again is huge. And if we look at the totals, we can see there's actually 17 goals. So if you take those 20 matches that these stats are looking at, there's 20 goals in that period. And as we can see here, there's actually 38 goals compared to 20. So there's more goals in this second half than there is in the first half, quite considerably. Again, going percentages, 58% of the goals are scored in the second half. We can't ignore this market for second half goals. Now, we've already made a profit on the first half goal, but we can't ignore this market. Now, last week, we used about half. I'm assuming that people use £10 stakes for all of my videos, as I do. We used about half our stake, which was £5. We made about £6.20 in profit. It was an odds against back, and we made money on it. Let's go and have a look at the odds currently. So the odds on over 2.5 goals currently are 1.81. Okay. Now remember, we are going to wait till this gets to 50 minutes. So we're going to give it 5 minutes. Price isn't going to jump hugely between 45 and 50 minutes. It never does. But what's really interesting here, and what I want you to think about as a trader is that in this situation, what odds do you want to take? Because 1.81 is not too bad. It's not amazing. And you could argue, well, why don't you just go on over 3.5 goals? That's a decision we're going to have to make in a minute when we get into this market. But over under 1.5 goals, it's just not worth touching. I mean, it's so short at this point. If I put, let's say the full £10 stake, assuming that's what you use, I mean, you make £1.80 if there's a goal, okay? But what we really want to do is take advantage of some of the odds here. So I feel like you kind of have two decisions to make here in terms of stake. So you could go for over 2.5 goals and maybe you're using full stake on that £10 because you're going to trade out of it anyway. Over 3.5, much bigger odds. I think you could probably do half stake here. I wouldn't particularly want to do full stake just because you're looking for another 3 goals. If there's not a goal before 70 minutes, this bet is going to tank, okay? So that is kind of my fear with this. I feel like with over under 3.5, you're really going to lose such a big chunk of your stake that it's not going to be worth the trade. However, with over under 2.5, that's not going to be the case. Okay. But remember my cardinal rule. If you've already made a profit on a match, do not stake more than that profit on your next trade on that match, okay? If you decide to carry on. Now, a lot of people don't. A lot of people get a profit like we already have, and they go, fine, I'm happy with that profit. But I just look at value. If there's still value there, I'm going to take it. We made £6, around £6 after commission. All right, £6.08 actually after the 2% commission. So that's what our stake can be on this next match, as far as I'm concerned. We need to have a think about which market to get in. We've got a few minutes to decide that anyway. Again, one thing you want to do is use data from the software. So the Betfair trading community football stats software is going to help you majorly with this. Let's go over to that and let's have a look. I love the fact you can just click all these and look at everything just instantly, however you want. And I'm looking at it in percentages right now. Over under 3.5 is actually 45%. So they do have a pretty high rate of over 3.5 goals. And actually the over under 2.5 is very similar here, as you can see. Okay, so that means that when these teams get goals, they tend to get goals, right? If it's going to be over 2.5, it's probably going to be over 3.5 as well. And as you can see here, when you look at the individual halves themselves, they're not having a ton of goals necessarily. You know, not many that, well, still 35% have had over 2.5. But interestingly here, 55% of the games are having at least 2 goals in the second half. And as we know, 85% have at least a goal. The aim of this trade is that we're only going to need a goal to win the trade. So again, this is something we want to look at. Let's look at the score conceded one more time. As you can see here, we've got, let's go for, percentages here. Actually, I quite like looking at this because this is going to tell us if they score goals. So 51 to 60, we can see that Elfsborg score a lot of goals. But 61 to 70, Varnamo also score goals. So that's interesting, right? That actually both teams can score the goals. We're going to take advantage of this 26%. It's just a case of how we're going to do that. Again, you can decide either way. I don't think there's a wrong decision here, but I'll probably go for over under 2.5 just because there's less goals to get. And I know that at 70 minutes, if there's 1 goal, we're going to be in a really good position. On over under 3.5, we're still going to be in a half decent position at 70 minutes, but it's not going to be as strong. If we hadn't made the profit already, it'd be really easy because we just go full stake over 2.5 without even really thinking about it at this spot. So that's what we're going to do, but we're going to use the stake we've made as a profit for our next trade. Okay, so we can see we're coming up to 50 minutes here. You can see on the Bet365 timer. Now, we're only really trying to risk around £6 here. So, like I say, we're going to put 10 on. And remember, we're going to trade out of this trade regardless. So you're probably actually going to want to put less than 10 on when you do this to make sure you don't lose more than 6. This might lose about 7.50. We'll see where it's at 70 minutes. There's not a goal. But we are going to trade out at 70 minutes if there isn't a goal. So that's just something, obviously, to be aware of. Trades in play. Let's see if we get a goal in those next 20 minutes as we are hoping. Okay, so we got what we wanted. The goal, I'll just show you it, sorry. Varnamo have equalised 1-1. Markets reopened. We'll just cash out here, take a profit. Now what's nice with this profit is, well, there's not huge, obviously, not huge stakes. That's around £10 profit we've made on these two trades, just by taking the odds that were there, looking at the stats of software. And this is why it's so important to use data. Get over to betfairtradingcommunity.com if you haven't already. Go and try it out if you're not already a member. We give 50% off the first month price. As you can see, you're probably going to find with your trading, it's worth it just for that alone. But yeah, easy trade here. We've used the software to do it. And it's really important to back up your trading with data. If you're watching this game, you might go, yeah, I think there's going to be a goal here. And you look at the in-play stats and go, yeah, I mean, a lot of shots, as we can see here, and a fair few on target, enough to keep us interested. But remember, we're looking at specifically what I liked here was the goal times. And we can see, look, between 51 and 60, there were a lot of goals, okay? Same with 61 and 70. Actually, when you go to score conceded, you can see why. And I think this goal was kind of on the 61 to 70 mark, but it was pretty close. That both teams score goals 61 to 70. You can see those two green lines there means that both teams score a lot of goals at that time frame. Well, what happened? The away team scored. The underdog actually scored in this scenario. Which actually makes it not a bad situation to expect there to be another goal. We're not going to push our luck here because we've got what we wanted. We've got what the stats have shown us already. So yeah, nice couple of trades there on the same match. I always think it's really good to do that when you can. And again, all we really did was reinvest profit, because even if there wasn't a goal at 70 minutes, we could have just taken a loss. We might have made a small profit actually overall, even with taking that loss. But you can see how you can trade these things in play. When you're watching a match, use the stats in front of you, use the in-play stats. So we did that with Bet365, very easy, doesn't cost anything. Then we did it with the Betfair trading community software so that we could see that it was all backed up. And as we looked at the thing that really got me interested, like I say, was the goal times percentages on those things. Then I backed up with everything else, especially the stat that said that there was going to be goals in the second half. Very rarely finished 1-0 to the home team, only 15% of the time. Well, I knew that there's a big chance there was going to be that second half goal. I also knew it was unlikely to come before 50 minutes based on the goal times, okay? Now, I know these have been quite quick. Both these videos have been quite quick, but I wanted to talk and kind of give you the psychology of trading as you're doing it, as you're doing the trading live, okay? I didn't, like I said, I didn't pre-plan any of this. Obviously, I haven't scripted any of this video, as you can probably tell, but I think it's more important that you get that perspective, and that's how your mind should be thinking. That's the kind of thing you should be thinking about when you're trading in play. We do have some strategies we can give you for free. I mentioned this in the last video. If you say the word free or the number 3, obviously we can actually share those with you, and we'll get those out to you. Now give you a bit of a head start on the Betfair markets. If you're already a member, get involved, talk to us, anything you need help with. We would have sent you a strategy if you filled in the form when you became a member to get a strategy. If you haven't done that, request one from us. I can send you a strategy. I can actually put it in the software for you. That's what we do for all members. So if you're someone who's watching trading and go, well, I don't know where to start, I don't know how to trade, that is a great place to start. But maybe just come and look at these matches. When you've got a game like this that you're interested in, come and look at it.